I'm sorry about the bad lighting. I've been trying to film this during the day when the lighting's better and it's just not happening. So I'm going to film it now. Now, the Christmas holidays are coming up very, very shortly. And who's that?
I'm sorry, I forgot.
It's alright, I'll be down in a minute. It's alright. Been up here a minute. Christmas holidays are coming very shortly. And not all of us are blessed with family that are supportive of our decision to homeschool. So, it's easy for me to give advice on this subject because my family is quite supportive of the fact we homeschool, and my husband's family, I'm sure they think we're weirdos and don't agree with what we're doing, but they know I wouldn't stand for it if they caused trouble. But I do know an awful lot of people where they're faced with negativity, things will wind them up, hostileness, even trouble causing toxicness from family members, and they dread seeing them on things like Christmas. So first off, I'm going to say, if you're over 21 and you don't want to go, don't go. If you don't want to meet up with certain family members, don't do it. If it's going to harm your mental health and harm your children's and make you doubt yourself, don't do it. And if they're monumentally toxic, as harsh as it sounds, cut them off. Because you don't need that. Not if you keep consistently giving them chance after chance after chance, and they're just going out of their way to cause you trouble or harm, no matter what's going on in your life, cut them off. But I also accept the fact that not all family members mean to be toxic. Some are just insensitive, and some think that even though they're going about it the wrong way, it comes from the place of where they care about you, because they think you're messing your life up even though you're not, and they think it's their place to intervene. Or some family members, it doesn't matter how toxic they are, we're genetically bound to them and we can't always cut them off, or we can't always take a step back from when we want to, or say like you weren't expecting to face this particular family member. You know, you was told Uncle Marv was definitely not coming to the Christmas Eve meal, but he comes, or you know, Auntie Shirley assured you that she's told Uncle Alf to behave himself, but then he doesn't, that kind of thing. So first off, I know it's annoying, but where you can, take things with a pinch of salt. If somebody's putting a downer on your way of life and they're being unspeakably rude, and perhaps their life isn't the kind of life you'd want anyway, you wouldn't want to copy the kind of things they're doing, then their opinion really doesn't matter. Just brush it off. But don't be afraid to stand up for yourself either, and don't be afraid to intervene. If they're doing something like telling your kid that they should be in school, they'll never get a job if they're not in school, they don't know this, that and the other, they should know this, that and the other by now, and quizzing them, your kid don't need that, especially over Christmas. You intervene anytime you like to put a stop to that. The second one is, if they're asking questions, they're allowed to ask questions, especially if they have concerns. But if it turns into they won't stop, you can always say, look, let's just talk about this after Christmas. Let's just have Christmas, shall we? What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, now, 1 year, my family got the kids toys for Christmas, but they also included a few like workbook quiz type things, which is fine. But because the husband's family had just discovered, because we didn't tell the husband's family, see, this is the other thing, if you don't have to if they're not aware you know, if Uncle Clarence from wherever isn't aware you homeschool, you don't feel you have to tell him. I'm not saying lie, but you don't have to tell him. If you're not gonna see this man again until next Christmas, and he's just gonna cause you trouble if you tell him, you don't have to tell him. The husband's family, we didn't tell him we was homeschooling because we knew that they'd put a downer on it and cause trouble or tell us we were wrong or stuff like that. So we just didn't tell them. And they didn't know for years because we hardly saw them. And when we did see them, they was quite self-absorbed, so they just didn't realise. But once they knew, a couple of years ago, for Christmas, they got the kids, which I know for the cans, you should be grateful for what they have, da da da. But because they just found out they were homeschooling, every single toy was like an educational thing. And I don't mean like educational toys, I mean like times tables workbooks, protractor, 101 things that you should know by the time you're 10, things like that. School stuff. But because my family just put a couple of quiz books in, it just seemed like everybody, I let it upset me, which I shouldn't have done, because like I say, it's thought the cats, and they probably thought they was helping and thought they was saving us money, and thought, like a lot of people think that homeschooling is all day every day for it to be anywhere near the standard of school. But because they just got school stuff, I took it, I was quite offended because I took it as they thought we weren't providing the right stuff, and that they were concerned about what they were learning about, stuff like that. But that was my problem. I took offence at it, which I shouldn't have done. So just chill out, because no good comes of it getting offended. So if people do something like that, assess the fact of whether they meant to be offensive, or if you're just taking it as offensive because you're touchy. Because I was just being touchy. I was. My fault that was. I was just being touchy. But no matter what's said or done, keep in mind that this is just this Christmas. The rest of the year, you know you're making the right decision, doing the best thing you can for your kids. So don't let a few encounters over Christmas make you doubt yourself. This is your friendly Christmas reminder. You don't have to take any rubbish, whether the family or not. And you don't have to be put in situations you don't want to be. And if you're at somebody else's house and they're out of line, leave. My opinion for you. Yeah, don't let it ruin your Christmas. And if you know it's going to, assess whether you're going to go down that route seeing them or not. Or set some ground rules before you get there. Say, yes, we will come. We will come, Nana. But this is Christmas. Let's not discuss homeschooling or anything like that. Let's not quiz the kids on how many capital cities they know in the world and things like that. Let's just have a nice, relaxed family Christmas. Them topics and any other topics you choose are off limits for these couple of days, so we can just have a nice time. So don't be afraid to set boundaries either. That's my advice to you. He's asleep. But either way, Christmas, religious, thing aside, Christmas is for the children. And you've got to assess what's going to be the best place for you to be and the best people for you to be with on that day to make it the best day it can be for the children. And if you've got older children and so-and-so is being offensive, don't be afraid to have a conversation with that child either and be honest and say they were out of line when they said that. They're a bit of a, or yes, they was out of line when they said that, but they were just being insensitive, or they thought they was helping, or they didn't realise that we face that kind of thing most days and it was going to upset us. Don't be afraid to explain it to the old ones, or explain why you're still bothering with certain people even though they behave like that. And the last thing I'll say, apart from if you don't want to go, don't go. I've already said that, but apart from that, the last thing I'm going to say is, if a family member is upsetting, whether they mean to be or not, whether it's come from a good place or not, your child is watching, and what you've got to think before you react is, what will my child expect to how my child expect to see me react to this, or what's the best way for my child to see me react to this. You want the moral high ground, and you want to look the best you can, and you want to react in the best way you can, because your children are always soaking things up like sponges. And chances are, if you're having that kind of issue with your family, they're aware of it. No matter how you hide it, they're aware of it. And chances are, as they get older, if it's not nipped in the bud, they're going to have them kind of conversations with those family members themselves, when the family members are going, don't you think you ought to go to secondary school to GCSEs, or don't you think you ought to go to college, you want to get a job, blah, blah, blah. They will know how to react to that kind of hostility, because they will have seen the way that you react to that hostility, and they will know how to behave and how to not let it bother them, and how to not let it ruin their Christmas. So, there's altercation downstairs. I've got to go, but that's my advice for you, Jazz. Got my baby, look. Baby, he's asleep.